There is no such thing as Latin American photography. The notion of a geographic uh, segmentation for a style of photography makes little sense. Let us say you come and take pictures in Latin America. Are those pictures Latin American? Imagine I come, have taken a lot of pictures in the United States. Does that make the pictures in the United States Latin American? Uh, what makes a picture a Latin American? Images contained within could be taken by somebody from Latin America or from coming from abroad. Mm-hmm. So how do you define Latin American photography? You have in such a vast continent, the amount of diverse cultural approaches is huge.
To many people, the first images that come to mind when thinking about photography in Latin America are photos of street riots or guerrilla group members. But as photographer Pedro Meyer has just explained, there can be no one image of Latin America. A region of 29 countries and entities throughout Central America, South America, and the Caribbean, with a great diversity of languages, ethnic groups, religions, climates, and more, has led to the development of different perspectives and themes. In the late 20th century came relative improvements in political, economic, and social stability in many Latin American countries, who were previously occupied in the periods of conflict, as well as new technological advancements, such as digital photography. In this video, we will focus on this shift from social documentary, a significant genre that came out of this period, towards the most expressive genre of conceptual photography that has flourished in recent years. To give a bit of background, it wasn't until the late 1970s when it was widely agreed upon by a consensus of critics that photography was an art form. This came decades after France, England, and the United States began to view photography as art. However, as early as the 1930s, Mexican photographer Manuel Alvarez Bravo was known for his images of his surroundings as part of the pictorialist movement. In response to the societal upheaval in their countries, some photographers saw their photos as a way in which they could do something about it. As a result, social documentary photography became both a weapon against government censorship and a historical document of their crimes. However, many photographers who documented conflicts remained anonymous for fear of endangering themselves or their families, despite the dangers they deemed helping their countrymen worth the risk.
A photographer whose career reflects the shift well is Pedro Meyer, a digital pioneer known for continually raising philosophical questions through his work. His multinational background further reflects the diversity of backgrounds and identities that exist within Latin America. Meyer was born in Spain, raised in Mexico, and attended college in the United States. He's fluent in Spanish and English and has shot all over the world, but has dealt with critics who have jumped to faulty conclusions given his Mexican nationality.
At ICP, and pictures that I showed were taken, all of them, in the United States. But the reviewer of the show, he knew that I was Mexican. So what did he do? He wrote, funny, or how curious is it, that all the, not pictures, but all the billboards in the pictures are in English, assuming that they were all, he just had to read the titles and he just had to read the captions to the pictures to know they were, some of them did, and yet he assumed that because I am Mexican, the content of the image must be Mexico.
Some approaches Meyer takes are framing Americans as subjects of an anthropological study, drawing parallels between them and Native Americans, and commenting on the relationship between Mexicans and Americans. Before digital photography, Meyer's main genres were street photography and social documentary, but unlike other more hesitant photographers, he eagerly embraced digital in its early years and has not looked back. Meyer also has a rather unique position on photo manipulation. He uses it to add memories to an image or to imbue it with more emotion or impact than the original unretouched photo. For example, Drunken Indians is a compilation of two photos taken moments apart. Castro R. explains Meyer's defense of this decision, asking what the difference is between doing as he did and asking the three men to stand together. Meyer adds that combining the images instead of keeping them separate actually makes a more powerful statement, because it narrates in a more succinct and compelling way the problem of alcoholism in Native American reservations in the United States. In his book Truth and Fictions, A Journey from Documentary to Digital Photography, Meyer doesn't shy away from Photoshop or bright, saturated colors as tools to help document his experiences. He depicts the two very different cultures, the natives of Oaxaca, Mexico, with Americans during the Nixon era, with wit and elements of fantasy, merging a social documentary approach with a conceptual product. Between his multinational background and over 50 years of work, Pedro Meyer himself can't fit into one box, so to speak, and so his work must be looked at as an evolution between different approaches and themes. As a result, his work is both influenced by his surroundings, but also remains unique to his person.